Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to 2 Point Hospital. We are back in Croquembouche, working on our 2-star objectives. First thing I'm going to do is buy a brand new plot. Now, one of the things I have noticed is our training is holding us up. So I am going to... Oh, an epidemic, what a start. Right, let's just have a quick look. It's Abominable Curse again, so that one shouldn't be too hard to spot. In fact, there's one. Oh, an infected... Oh, they've... Wait a minute. It's done. Okay, we did it. Pandemic emergency, a staff challenge, and a staff promotion. Okay, now, we're going to build our brand new training room. And what I want to do with this is I want to reduce the amount of time my staff spend within that training room, so we can really grind up the amount of training that we're doing, so our staff can continue to advance in experience and get more training and improve their general output as staff members. So we're going to be putting in like the anatomy models, the encyclopedia bookcases, some of the posters that increase the level of training, and we're just going to try and push that as much as possible. I also want to make sure that I've got plenty of trainee desks in so we can do some mass training of staff. Like, we're going to need a load more GPs, we're going to need a lot more treatment-based doctors and nurses, and a lot more diagnosis-based ones as we start to increase the flow of patients within this hospital. Our reputation of 98% has kind of given us a little bit of a negative thing in that we have loads of patients coming in now, and more, I think, than the actual caps that we've had in recent levels, and that's a little bit worrying because we're starting to get bottlenecks in the hospital. And having that right now is going to make pushing for these 2-star objectives a lot more difficult than it should. So, as you can see here, some of these posters like their cubism anatomy, that gives us 1% training speed, as well as the brain anatomy and the anatomy poster. So if we then put in them, as well as the encyclopedia bookcases, and just kind of make a full room of these things. Obviously, we want to try and mix it up a bit because you do get diminishing returns, so we need to be aware of that as we build. And I think if we can fit in a few more anatomy models here, we can maybe... Have we got any space there? No, it doesn't look like we can fit that in, so we'll put another row just in front of these ones. Now, it doesn't look amazing, it's a bit of a weird looking room. It looks kind of like a storage room where people get trained, especially sitting at those 2 desks. But that's in there now, and if we have a quick look here, if I want to see train Diagnostics Level 3 on Isaac Baffle, it will 15 days it's going to take. That's much better. If we have a look at our current training room now, you will see that doing the exact same training in Diagnostics 3, once again, we'll bring in a guest trainer and we'll have Isaac Baffle do it, 36 days. So we've reduced that by a huge amount, and that's going to allow us to really quickly train up some staff. So let's get some non-qualified doctors and nurses in, and we'll start a mass training program because we're going to need a lot more staff to run this hospital effectively. So our hospital value is slowly increasing. Oh god, what's going on there? Cryptology's on fire. Let's get a janitor in there to sort that out. But we are curing patients at a decent level. They're going through pretty quickly. Our cure rate is holding steady at 80%, and our hospital value is slowly increasing. I'm going to start upgrading some machines now because, once again, that's going to help us get those cures over the line. And our helixer is... there's nobody there and somebody's died. Oh. Well, but that's a training course completed, and I did duplicate that training room, so we've got 2 running in tandem there, which means we can really push through the training. So let's have a look at what trainees we've got available. We've got a couple of junior nurses here, and we've got these 2 interns that we've brought in. So I'm going to train them in motivation. No, stamina training. I don't want them to take as many breaks, so we can keep the staff profile relatively low and then keep training staff very quickly. Because obviously, the one thing I don't want to do is take my staff away from the roles and cause the queues. You can see here this DNA lab. We're going to need a DNA trained doctor, so we'll bring one in and we'll train them up in DNA so they can work in the DNA lab immediately. And then we don't have any other staff that we can really hire, so we're going to clear them all off. As you can see, we're starting to get some queues forming in our diagnosis rooms and our general practice rooms, so we're going to need to be really careful with that. I am going to duplicate this pharmacy because there's a queue there and I have an emergency in progress. Obviously, pharmacy patients are the ones that need the least amount of diagnosis, I guess, so they're quicker to get in. So if we have more pharmacies in here, we'll be able to cope with that really nicely, and that'll really help us boost our cure 500 patients. I am then thinking about potentially doing marketing again for the pharmacy. So having a load of pharmacies get the marketing done, which will help get our cure rate, our hospital value, and our cure 500 patients done very quickly. Just training a surgeon there as well, because surgery is going to be a huge one. We're going to need to have that. We've got already 2 requests for surgeries and stuff. So we're going to need to get some trained surgeons in there. I do have 1 surgery running at the moment, but we do need to be prepared to duplicate it. It's time for our marketing. I'm just going to put a really badly designed marketing room in there because it's something that can just happen residually and over time. I'm going to do some marketing here. What can we put in? What I would like to do is have it's a shame you can't do recruitment marketing for treatment or diagnosis trained staff members. Genetics, obviously we could do and bring in a new DNA tech. We could just do general doctors or nurses. Marketing, what's that for? You're doing marketing for someone trained in marketing? That's very straight. We'll do a general marketing campaign, I think, maybe. I don't know what I'm going to market for now that I've got this done. So I think we'll do general doctor marketing. Let's see if we can just bring in some good new doctors. That's a good one. Kimmy Fromage, trained in treatment level 2, so we can have them work in certain rooms. And it's the end of the year. What did we win? All right, not too bad, actually. Pretty happy with that. Now, you're going to see less and less of these because this level is going to take me quite some time. So unless something pivotal has happened, look at the state of this. This is terrible. Unless something pivotal has happened before the end of the year, I probably won't show you all of the awards that we're going to win until the very end of the level. But you can see here, I thought the DNA lab was causing issues, so I just switched it to treatment only, but evidently that's not the case. We are getting bottlenecks at our general practice, and that needs to be sorted. We're doing pretty well, though. We're 5 million, we're almost there, so that's not going to be too difficult. Our cure rate is starting to drop, and that's because, as you can see, there's quite a few people on low health, so they're dying, and a few people who are leaving in frustration at the amount of time that it's taking them to get seen to. And that's because of the mass bottlenecks that we're starting to get at our GP's offices. And even our reception area. You can see there's queues forming. I haven't put a lot of seats in, but also I'm noticing that they're not really going to seats. There's some seats right there next to the reception desk that they could go and sit on, and they're not doing it. They're just queuing up, which, our reputation's dropped as well, and that's again probably because people are dying or leaving in disgrace because it's taking them so long to be seen by a GP, very much like the UK at the moment. It takes you a long time to get a general practice appointment here as well. So, true to life, I'm doing pretty well. This is a realistic hospital, everybody. Oh, God. We've not had any requests for new treatment rooms for a while, so I think we now have all of the illnesses that we're going to be dealing with, which means it's all going to be about patient flow and making sure that we've got enough diagnosis rooms and enough well-trained doctors to get our patients through to the treatment phase as quickly as possible, which is why we're doing this mass expansion now. We've got a nice amount of money in the bank. Our hospital value's at 5 million, but the other 3 objectives have really fallen behind. We haven't cured patients at the rate that we did when we first started this one, so we're a little bit behind. What I'm planning on doing is doing a bit of a redevelopment here, and what we're going to do is we're going to split this hospital in half on a diagonal. So the room where we currently have a lot of our treatment rooms is going to be duplicated on the opposite side, and we're going to have new diagnosis rooms. Oh, that's a machine exploding. The DNA lab has decided that it doesn't want to exist anymore. We may have killed somebody in the process. At least we didn't kill the doctor, who I don't even think was in there. They just ran out when it was on fire. Right, we need to just fit in this new helixer, and then we'll start upgrading that immediately. And then we'll carry on with talking about our developments. Right, we've hit a bit of a snag. Everything's kind of dropping now, and you can see the queues are spiraling out of control. And unfortunately, I'm not now making enough money to be able to do the redevelopments that I want to do. We do have a new surgery, and I ended up moving a couple of duplicating a couple of diagnosis rooms. The general diagnosis was moved into this area as well. I would rather keep this all for staff. We're going to continue with our training. We have lots of trainees available, and that is again starting to become an issue for us. So I'm going to train up a load more treatment level 3s there, and then can we do some more diagnostics, or is there something else we can do? Genetics, ward management. We'll do treatment level 2 on this doctor here. Okay, this got really tough. we have cured 500 patients. We've jumped ahead quite a few years, but really I'm just reporting on what's changed at the moment. We've continued on with our training. I've built a brand new reception here and tried to just have all of my GP's offices in this one room. Obviously, we still have bottlenecks. I'm hoping that when I next get a little bit more money in, we can put in a few more GP's offices. But as you can see, these rooms are pretty much exactly the same. I have most of my treatment rooms in these two separate buildings, bottom left and top right, with a couple that have kind of spilled over into these areas on the bottom right and top left. Most of our diagnosis rooms are now in there, but as you can see, we've still got patients rage quitting, and yeah, it's been difficult, but we have now cured our 500 patients. Our reputation's holding well. I did send home a few patients to try and stem that tide of people coming in. But you can see here, the queues are still really bad. We've dropped back into debt there. Our expenses are pretty large, and I'm just not really sure how to cope. I think the key thing here is going to be to bring those queues at the GP's offices down, which means we're probably going to need to double the amount of GP's offices we have in here. Like I said, the amount of patients that we have coming through is pretty unprecedented. I've not faced this in any of the other levels, and when they said be prepared for I think they said a horde, they weren't wrong. There are loads coming in. I did have to sell a training room, unfortunately, but it has kind of helped us out. But as you can see, again, we've expanded our staff and we have 34 trainees available, but we do need to just keep pushing the general practice training up. Unfortunately, I can't actually afford to bring in a guest trainer, so I may then have to start using my actual staff to train up new staff members. Unfortunately, that's going to take them out of the GP's office where they're working, and because we have still, in my opinion, quite a low staff profile, that's going to make things difficult as well. So I did a marketing campaign earlier on in the level, and I think that's what's caused things to spiral a little bit. You can see their bankruptcy warning coming in as well. Doing that marketing campaign got our reputation and our exposure over the top, and that's why we've had so many people coming in. That's my opinion anyway. It may well be that this is just the way the level is designed, and you are meant to have however many patients are in here at all times, but at the beginning of this level, when we did the 1-star objectives, we did not have this many people in, and even when we first started this level, before I did that marketing campaign, we were doing okay.
Are we running out of coffee?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused as to why it's gone so much. We have 76 staff members here, and all of them are kind of being trained in the levels and the way that I want them to train. It might not be the most efficient way, but I just feel like if you have treatment-based nurses who are only working in treatment, that's all they should be trained in. And then you can do a specialist one for injections or pharmacy management or something like that. Anyway, I'm hoping that we can manage the finances a little bit better, get out of this little debt spiral. We are coming up to the end of the year, so I'm just going to show you what awards we've won. We got another bankruptcy warning. That's 209,000. Oh my god, we're in trouble. But as you can see from the last awards, we're another 4 years on. We haven't won much. We win Employer of the Year consistently every year though, so that's pretty good. And now I don't know what to do. I think we may need to just start sending patients home. I don't want to sack any doctors at the moment because they're all working. We've got quite a few on a break here. I wonder if maybe my staff rooms need to be more efficient, so that's something that I could potentially look at as well. But for now, I think we maybe need to take a big risk here and send some patients home. Although we've made a decent start to the year, and we were $200,000 in debt when we first started here. We're now down to 139,000. So in the first 11 days, we've done pretty well. But as you can see here, we have a load of patients who are unhappy and unhealthy that, we probably should just start sending them all home. We're another year on, and things are slightly improving. You can see we still have these backlogs and these queues that we need to sort out. We've added a couple more GP's offices there, just to try and stem the tide of patient flow a little bit and get people seen to as quickly as possible, but the queues don't seem to have dropped down at all. It seems like we're getting more and more people in, which is affecting our cure rate and our hospital value because we're unable to make money quick enough to increase the value of our hospital. And year on year, month on month, we're not bringing in enough money. However, our GPs are improving. We're managing to get that training coming through quite nicely now. We have a lot of trainees available, but that's probably because we've got new staff members in as well. Our staff rotas have expanded. We've got a lot more people working here now. But as you can see, we've got some doctors here who are just idle and not doing anything. And I think a lot of them are trained in GPs. So we may need to build some more GPs officers. I've said this already in the video, and it's just been slow going. So we're going to try and make a little bit more money now that we're in a little bit of a better position, build some more GPs officers, and then hopefully that'll help us get through. We did have a considerably large queue at our reception area, but having now trained up some more receptionists and brought in some more assistants, that's kind of come down. And if they're taking too long to get through that initial stage of actually just getting into the hospital, that's going to cause an issue. But money is starting to get very tight for us now. We cured those 500 patients ages ago, and I feel like we should have done this a lot better. So we're going to train up some more staff and then jump on ahead, and we'll talk a little bit more later. We're another year in, and I'm getting tired. And I think the only thing that we can do to actually help this out, you can see our cure rate's gone up, but our hospital value isn't going up. And that's because these backlogs and these bottlenecks are causing so much of a fluctuation. As you can see here, our policy of 90% diagnosis threshold is probably hindering us. So we may need to reduce that and send home all of our patients. I think that's going to be the way to go. And, you know, I don't consider this like cheating or anything. I think it's really important to know when you're overwhelmed. And I've been at this for, what, maybe 4 in-game years of stagnation where we're not getting people through enough, we're getting into debt spirals, we're having to use the loans to keep us out of it, then, you know, it's just getting too difficult to progress. And this is the point where you have to go, right, do I pull the trigger and send all of my patients home? Because this is getting really difficult. So we're going to send patients home, and then we're going to crack on. So I started by sending home as many of the low health or low happiness patients as I could. I didn't send all of them home. I wanted to keep a little number of patients in so that I had some income coming in immediately. That's allowed us to duplicate a load more GPs officers, which means the queues are starting to spread out a little bit. The only problem is I still don't think I have enough staff to fully max out these rooms and keep people flowing through quickly. You can see we've got 3 or 4 rooms there that are general practice that don't have anyone working in them. So that's the next step. Thankfully though, the money is flowing in pretty nicely. My UI's bugged out. That's probably because I've been playing this now for over 3 hours and it's been a bit of a nightmare. And I think the game is getting tired of me trying, and it's just like, you either need to give up or get really good at the game very quickly. But I thoroughly wasn't expecting this. This really lured me into a false sense of security with that 1-star objective. I thought we were having it easy, and it's just spiraled out of control consistently. I do think we know what the patient cap is now. I think it is 250 patients. I don't think it ever goes above that, but we can't cope with 250 patients in this hospital right now. We can repay a loan though. That's better. We now have doctors in all of our GPs offices, but the queues have kind of started to spread out. So as you can see, our psychiatry now has queues, so we're going to have to duplicate that and get someone in to work in there. We have 2 mega scanners, one of them with a queue of 6. And then there's just queue warnings popping up left, right and centre. Lots of people still rage quitting. People refusing to pay, so we may need to adjust our prices. And yeah, so all that's happened at the moment is we're getting new bottlenecks coming up. But that's not a problem because now we can see where the patient flow is starting to stagnate and we can make those adjustments on the fly as we go. Our cure rate is almost, well, it's on the way to 80%. It's nowhere near, if I'm being quite honest. But our hospital value is good, reputation's good, and obviously we cured those patients ages ago. So things are starting to improve now that we have patients managing to actually get past the GP's office stage. The only problem is we're going to need to do a little bit tweaking of our diagnosis thresholds. This UI is getting ridiculous. Honestly, I may need to just restart the game and see if that sorts it out. We're going to pause it anyway so I can just take stock very quickly. I'm going to send some more patients home because, again, we have these issues popping up here. So we're going to do that and then we'll carry on again. And, you know, my advice for this is just, you know, you can try different things every now and then to like stem any tide or make things work a little bit better. But if it doesn't work, you just need to send people home. Give yourself a bit of a clean slate, because as long as you don't get $300,000 in debt, you're going to be able to recover from it. The game is quite forgiving in comparison to Theme Hospital, where like a couple of mistakes and that's it. You're pretty much done. I remember the last level of Theme Hospital being incredibly difficult. I mean, I played it as a kid, so it might be different now if I was to go back and do it as an adult. But yeah, it's very forgiving, and you're able to make mistakes, and as long as you kind of get ahead of that curve, you can recover from them. Anyway, I'm going to continue sending patients home, and then I will see you guys in a little bit. So we're into a new year. Sending all of our patients home has really helped. You can see our hospital values dropped a little bit, but you can also see that there are hardly any queues here now. And that's allowing us to get a jump start on this and really start pulling back and getting ahead of the curve. Obviously, if we don't make changes using the money that we're going to get from this, we're going to see the same repeated patterns happening again. So we need to make sure that we are using our money effectively. We're going to do these objectives now. I can see the hospital value increasing, so I'm going to try and get ahead of these queues by duplicating my psychiatries and training up or hiring in some more psychiatrists. And then we just need to spot where queues are starting to form. And it will probably be at GP's offices again. We're going to need to maybe increase the amount of GPs we have, or maybe just put in some new GPs offices. What I do want to do is consolidate our cure rates as well by improving the machines in on other wing where we duplicated all of our treatment rooms, just making sure that they're fully upgraded as much as possible. I don't have too much of an issue with the staff that I've got working in treatment because generally they're doing pretty well at getting people cured. You can see our cure rate has just dropped a little bit there, but I expect that to recover. And yeah, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit more and we'll update later, because all we're doing is training, treating and all of that sort of stuff, which you don't need to see. If I make any developments and stuff, I will let you know. I told you it would happen again. So this is what happens when you have to send all of your patients home. We've got people storming out and people who have just booted out. So our cure rate has dropped so quickly that the bar hasn't even caught up. Our hospital value is plummeting as well, and we are in debt. It's also the end of the month. This may have been a bad time. If you're going to send your patients home, make sure you do it at the beginning of the month. That's what I'm about to learn here. But knowing, generally, I have an idea of how much I'm going to lose each month. So as long as I'm not like predicted to lose more than what's going to take me to negative $300,000, I think I'm going to be okay. I've queued up a load of upgrades to all of my machines, as you can see there, and they're just going to come through gradually. And now we have a clean slate to hopefully push on and finish this level. Well, finish the 2-star objectives. I forget, we've got another whole load of objectives to do after this, and I bet they're even more difficult. I'm predicting that it's going to be like cure 1,000 patients, have a cure rate and a reputation of 90% and a hospital value of like, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 million they're going to want from us. So that's going to be real tough. I'm really sorry about the UI. I could have reset the game, but I feel like I've just got into a rhythm and I don't want to like bring it out. So the UI you'll have to cope with for now. It's going to change. I'm going to be able to sort it, but I really want to get these 2-star objectives done. You can see here now, though, we're going to have patients coming in. We're almost at the end of the month again. I think I'm just going to pause it and take out some loans because that's going to plummet. I'm going to take out all 3 of the loans. It's not a great move, but we're just waiting for new patients to come in. So once they come in and they start looking like getting seen to, they're going to, there we go, straight away we really dropped a load there. Like 140,000 negative. So it's not good, but we're already recovering at a pretty high rate. All of our new patients are happy and healthy, and we'll be able to come through this hospital really quickly to build up our finances again. That will increase our hospital value and our cure rate. The two of them work very much in tandem. If you have a good cure rate, you're very much probably going to be increasing your hospital value quite gradually, which is really good to see. And yeah, this has been a really tough level. I'm going to repay my first and maybe the second loan. Should I? No, I'm going to leave that for now because we're coming to the end of the month. Maybe next month I'll repay the next like loan, because I don't want to drop further into debt again and be saddled with that massive loan that I can't pay off. There's no point getting rid of a loan and then having to take it out right again. But we'll see how we're getting on at the end of the month. There we go. See, it's a good job we didn't pay that loan off. But I think we might be about to do this one. We're coming up to the end of the year as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what awards we've won. I can't imagine we're going to have done very well because in the last couple of years we've had to consistently send patients home. Our prices are still at 100% over what we would usually charge. I would like to bring that down, but that's just impossible right now. So we've repaid that second loan. We did well on that emergency, and yeah, things are slowly coming together. It's been a really tough level though. Like, I really thought we were going to do okay with it, and then suddenly, whack, you've got 250 patients in your hospital and bottlenecks everywhere, and you can't expand quick enough to cope with it. So I think utilizing all of the plots is probably the best thing to do, and just, you know, having a bit more of an awareness of where those queues are starting to form. Now that I have all of these GP's offices, at the moment anyway, until we get more patients in, they're coping pretty well. And it's going to be interesting to see how and when that starts to tip in the opposite direction. As you can see, this is the end of year 14. We haven't won many awards there, but I was pretty much expecting that anyway. Hopefully now our hospital value will go up, and that'll be it. We just need to keep that cure rate up while the hospital value increases as well. So we've added quite a few plants and stuff for entertainment in now that we've got a little bit more money, and that's going to really help stop the patients getting bored, and also having a nice looking hospital obviously affects their happiness as well. Something that I've neglected throughout this level. I've not really done anything in terms of decoration. The issue is this gives our janitors more work to do, which means we may have to hire in more janitors. So if we have patients who are happy, entertained and well fed, they're going to stay in the hospital longer without getting bored. This is like basics, really, but I've not had a lot of time to focus on the basics because this got so chaotic, and it's actually reminded me of earlier on when I was playing the game. Repaid off my final loan though, and this should be enough to push us through to the next objectives. I'm hoping now that our hospital value just continues to increase by bringing in some profits. It shouldn't take us too long because our prices are really high and we're making a lot of money through treatments, and that's what we need to do. The other thing is, talking about the diagnosis threshold earlier on, if your diagnosis threshold is high, people are going to be going to more diagnosis rooms, which means you're getting more money from those diagnosis-based rooms as well. So it's really good to kind of like play around with that and tweak it. Because what you don't want though, what happens is they will go to a diagnosis room, then go back to a GP's office for another appointment in a new diagnosis room. Then they'll move on back to the GP's office, so on and so forth. That gives you a lot of money, but also it's the reason you get so many queues at a GP's office. This is probably why when I had my diagnosis threshold set at 90% earlier on, I was getting so many GP's offices queues and people were dying or getting angry and leaving. So there's so much to think about in this game, and actually, without realizing it, it's actually really quite complex, and you don't realize it until you're faced with an issue like this, where you're having to panic and send people home to give yourself like a soft restart of the hospital. We're going to have a look at what training we can do because I have 33 trainees available, but we're starting to unlock some of the more high quality like general practice levels and the treatment levels. So eventually we're going to be having like level 5 skills on people soon enough. And one thing I haven't looked at all, and there are a load of guides out there if you're really interested in min-maxing, is you may not need to take like general diagnosis level 5 on a staff member. You could give them like motivation or stamina training instead and let the rooms do the work for the diagnosis. Let them kind of give you that extra boost to the percentage, but obviously that means more medicine cabinets as well as dealing with diminishing returns and larger rooms. And if you are trying to just do everything in a smaller footprint like me, because I just get confused over where I've got everything, that makes it difficult. Like, we couldn't have this many GP's offices in this small footprint unless we got rid of all of those treatment rooms, which would then cause queues at those treatment rooms. To be honest, there's that much of a variation in our illnesses that I could actually do without having that whole second wing dedicated to more treatments, because you can see here the patient flow isn't amazing throughout those. There's not a lot of people waiting in there, so you could funnel them all into that one big room for treatment and just really focus on general diagnosis and like those like additional diagnosis rooms that you might need. I think we're about to hit 5 million though. I think we may do it this month. So finally, The 2-star objectives are at an end. Christ, I've got another whole episode to do on this. I don't know how I'm going to... I'm going to need a break from 2 Point Hospital. I'm so glad this is the last level. Obviously, I'm going to be doing the DLCs like I've already said several times over. But I'm looking forward to this one being done now. I can't believe I've got a whole other objective set to do. We should be able to push this at the end of May. We will have our 5 million value. Those machines are almost upgraded. You can see as well, actually, we've added an X-ray. We've added 2 X-rays. And have I added anything else? No, I haven't. The X-ray, I just thought would help us like shuffle some of the backlog away from our GPs and just see if we can improve that diagnosis rate at a quicker like level. It also just gives some of the doctors that I've got on staff a little bit more to do, because the doctors won't gain XP unless they're working, and at the moment I think I've got a bit of a bloated staff roster, which I could do with sorting out and may actually have to do when we get to the next set of objectives. And I'm kind of just talking now because I know I'm so close and I know I'm going to get it. There's not really anything else I can say to advise on this level. It is just a case of dealing and being reactive with whatever it throws at you and dealing with those masses of patients. And there we go, 2 stars done in Croquembouche. Oh my god. I'm going to have to go to bed. I'm so tired. And as I predicted, look at those 3-star objectives. My god. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you did learn something. I don't know if you would have, but thank you for watching nonetheless, and I will see you next time for our 3-star objectives. Bye-bye.